everybody, or good afternoon, good morning, good evening, anywhere you are catching us from. Go right away to the presentation. Share the screen. Not too much protocol. I believe everybody know me, and I know a good number of persons in here, so not too much introduction. My name is Victor AYEGBA. I'm in QS and part of this team. I want to thank the chairman and members of the executive for this opportunity to share this knowledge on value engineering. And I'll be very smart with it. And one thing that may be different is that at the end of this session, we're going to have a little bit of quiz. So just get your paper, get your pen or pencil, and it's just a multiple choice question, you know, just to reflect on what we will be discussing. Then at the end of it all, you have to grade yourself. If you like to share your answers as the questions will be taken, you can share it with everyone, and we'll carry on from here. Our content is, we're going to go through the introduction, the background of value engineering, and thereafter we go into what is it, what it isn't. We look at the Pareto law as it applies to value engineering. I'll look at the team that comprises, you know, the value engineering team. Then we look at unnecessary costs. We look at the time to carry out value engineering. We look at projects which are most likely to benefit from value engineering. We look at examples of value engineering. We look at the client types that we have and their priorities. Then we'll go into the main issue, which is the 6 phases of value methodology. I will look at the conclusion. There will be questions and answers, and will be done. So this introduction, the background of value engineering, this is L.D. Miles. This is the person that brought the idea of value engineering, L.D. Miles, Lawrence D. Miles. He lived between 1904 and 1985. He's the person that brought the idea of value engineering during the World War II, when they have to substitute alternative materials for products due to material shortages, you know, as a result of the World War II. So the assignment was given to him, and he was the one that developed a cost reduction program using substitutes of material which will not degrade the required performance parameters. So in 1947, Larry Miles developed the cost reduction concept, which was applied, they were applied in the General Electric's company, GEC, and in the purchasing department. You know, he named the approach as value analysis and allowed the user to concentrate on function requirements, allowing greater mental freedom. And in 1950, it was adopted by the federal government agencies, that is Army through the Waterlines Arsenal in New York, and Navy through its Bureau of Ships. The program was developed a new name called Value Engineering. That was in 1950. It was applied to preliminary design and specification writing. And the industry began, and they have additional parts in the US industry, which they name as the Society of American Value Engineers, which is now called SAFE International. So let's just go through 1960. a lot happened. Japan picked up value analysis and enthusiasm. General Motors began some of the use of the process. Also, many of the appliance industry companies began to apply it. The Australian Navy began to use it, and it went even to the USA Department of Defense. We also have the Society of Japanese Value Engineering was also formed in 1960. In 1970s, this brought an increase of the use in the Department of Defense. This goes on and on until the Lawrence D. Miles Value Foundation was formed. Then in 1980, L.D. Miles received an award. The first award was presented to him in Japan. So if you look at the legal provision in the USA, let me just read that. In the United States, value engineering is specifically mandated for federal agencies by Section 4306 of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 1996, which amended the Office of Federal Procurement Policy Act, 41 U.S.C. 401 exec. Each executive agency shall establish and maintain cost-effective value engineering procedures and processes. As used in this section, the term value engineering means an analysis of the functions of a program, project, system, products, item of equipment, building, facility, service, or supply of an executive agency performed by the qualified agency or contractor personnel, directed at improving performance, reliability, quality, safety, and life cycle costs. So the question I put here below is that, do we have that type of law or act in Qatar or in Nigeria? So we need to think about that. Then, what is value engineering? What is it? On the left-hand side of this table, you can see that it's a systematic approach. It's a systematic effort, approach, or methodology. So, value engineering is not just saying that you just reduce costs or change, a particular item, material, or process, without following a methodology. There is a systematic approach that ought to be followed. And this systematic approach, we look at them, just for awareness sake today. Then the second one is an effort geared towards analyzing the functions of systems, services, supplies, equipment, and facilities. The functions of the system needs to be analyzed. You need to know what is the function of a particular equipment, system, equipment, that makes up, the building facility, that makes up, a process, that makes up the product. So you have to do the analysis of the functions. The third one here is, these efforts are essentially for achieving functions at the lowest life cycle cost. So what value engineering is just the cost that we're talking about here is lowest life cycle cost, just to achieve it. It's not just cost, but the LCC, the life cycle cost of a plant, of an equipment, of a process, of a building, and all that. It's a concentration of value and not cost. How to improve, maintain the value of original design that you have. It's not just reducing the cost, but it's to concentrate on the value improvement. That is what value engineering is all about. So it is also the removal of unnecessary costs without reducing value, but with the required performance, reliability, quality, and safety. The performance must be intact, it must be reliable, the system must be reliable, the building project or whatever project you're doing, infrastructural project, the performance must be reliable, the quality must be there, and the safety also has to be maintained. Then we'll go to the other side of the table. Value engineering, what it isn't, is not a raid on the quality or appearance of the project. Some people, when they say, okay, this is value engineering, what they want to do is, concentrating on the cost and trying to reduce the cost without, maintaining the quality. It is nothing. It's maintaining the quality and reducing the life cycle cost. It is not a cost slashing exercise. It's not just for you. You have a project, it's 100 million. All what you want to do is to make it 50 million, 60 million, and start slashing costs. That is not value engineering. It is not a condemnation of the design professionals. During the value engineering methodology, during the workshop, it is not to condemn design. But if you look at it, in most value engineering workshops, what is discovered is that most design professionals, they get offended when their design is being tampered with in terms of functionality. So if we have architects here, we have mechanical engineers here, electrical, or whatever designer that you are, when the cost is being touched, when the design is being analyzed, the function of the design is being analyzed, it is not to condemn you as a professional, but it is just to improve the value of the product. It will improve the value of the project as well. It is not an appraisal of the constructability of the project. When we're talking about value engineering, it's not just to talk how the project will be constructed. It is not value. This is not value engineering. Then we'll move to Pareto's law, how it applies to value engineering. Pareto's law says that 80% of the cost will be found in 20% of the items. During value engineering procedure, you discover that you need to make an analysis of items that you're going to carry out value engineering on. You will discover that 80% of the cost will be found in 20% of the items. So you have to improve the value of those 20 items that you have discovered. The 80% of the cost will be found in 20% of the items. So the second one says value engineering should be carried out on the high value items. High value items. You prioritize and carry out detailed value engineering on the high value items. Items that the value does not matter, they are not supposed to be touched. So if you look at the value engineering team, you discover that the team is made up of, this is by the ENR magazine. They suggest that a team for value engineering workshop should be between 5 to 25 persons, depending on the complexity of the project. Here, ENR magazine is engineering news records. They are in the US. They discover that for an effective value engineering workshop to be carried out, you need 5 to 25 persons involved. And these persons, includes the project manager, the planner, the contractor representative, the engineer, the owner or the end user, the architect, and the QS. Then, what are the responsibilities of the value engineering team? Their responsibilities include, but not limited to the following: a great amount of sensitivity and tact. They must be skillful, and they must cover the design, the constructability, the cost, and the time. They must generate information concerning the present design and determine the needs, requirements, and constraints of the users, the owners, and the stakeholders. They must establish a design criteria. They must develop a cost model, break down the project into functions, and performing a functional analysis. We will get there. All these ones are just definitions for us to take us to where we're going. With what is happening now, in the world, and even in a value engineering workshop, those that will be in attendance, there should be those that will have, these qualities. It is not, these requirements are not cast in stone, but then if any of the members of the value engineering workshop possess all these qualities, it will enhance the thing. The person must be able to have a complex problem solving skill. The person must be able to think critically. The person must be creative. You must understand project management. You must understand how to coordinate with others. The person must have good emotional intelligence. The judgment and decision making characteristics must be okay. The person must have service orientation. The person must be able to negotiate. The person must have cognitive flexibility. Cognitive flexibility is a mental ability to be able to switch between thinking about two different concepts and to think about multiple concepts simultaneously. Then we'll go to just to pick emotional intelligence. You have to be aware of somebody's emotions, focus on an individual's emotions and how we as a person can interact with people. Personal competence is your ability to stay aware of your emotions and manage your behavior and tendencies. If you don't manage your emotions, you cannot work with the team in value engineering. Your social competence also is required. This takes us to the this graph that we have, this shape that we have for emotional intelligence. Somebody can be, the level of your stress and your performance, they have to come together for you to be able to, for us to know whether you are emotionally intelligent or not. At the beginning, when the stress level is increasing, you discover that, somebody can be depressed. Then when your stress level is increasing, your performance also will increase. Then it will reach an increased, attention that you are able to concentrate, But the optimal performance is achieved at the midpoint of your stress. Beyond that, your performance will begin to reduce, your anxiety will come down, then there will be a complete meltdown. If you have to be in a team of value engineering workshop, you have to be at the optimal performance. Then the question is asked, when are we supposed to have value engineering? What time of the project? Is it before the design that we are supposed to have value engineering study? Or is it after the design must have been completed? Or after the construction has been completed? At what point in time are we supposed to have value engineering study? If you look at the ENR magazine USA March 1990, in 1990 edition, it says change in timing of value engineering. It says the columns was changed from square to round type, which saved 250,000 after the start of the project. After the start of the project, they still saved 250,000 pounds. Then the second one is they saved 50 to 60% of the design. After 50 to 60% of the design was completed. This is another opinion. Others argue that it is an ongoing process. Some people say value engineering has to be carried out before the start of the design, during the design stage. After the design is completed, the electrical, the mechanical, the architect must have finished his own design before the other engineers do their own design. They must have completed everything, all the designs must have been completed before the value engineering process will be taken. But at this point, there is no conclusion to this. There is still an argument to say, no, wait, let the design be completed. Some are saying, okay, even after the start of the project, let's say we can still carry out value engineering, we can still make a lot of changes while the project is still going on. So there are areas, which type of building do we believe that we enjoy value engineering? The first one is the conspicuous and exposed, those ones that are conspicuous, that are very, you can see and are exposed to external audit. Any project that is exposed to external audit, that they can come in any time to ask questions as to the use of the material, to the use of everything that is part of the project. That type of project is supposed to have value engineering study. Projects that are repetitive, requires value engineering study. Projects that are complex, projects that are costly, projects that are unique, they require value engineering study. Then we're talking about unnecessary costs. What do we consider as unnecessary costs? Cost of unnecessary components, specified covering for drainage pipe, that is thicker than essential, over cautious concrete cover for rebar. This is unnecessary cost. Cost of unnecessary materials, expensive materials specified than cheaper ones that will do the same job. These are unnecessary costs. Excessive cost of durability, excessive plants being employed, labor for longer periods. These are unnecessary costs. unnecessary life cycle costs, that is uncertainties of future level of interest and inflation. Unnecessary opportunity costs, like you go to the retail mall, you go to the malls, you discover that, an open space is all over everywhere. It was value engineering study, that, made them to understand that this space where people are working, that it can be let out. That is why you see, if you go to the malls now, you see people, putting some shops, all over the places to maximize the space. Then, value engineering, we have an example here. Limehouse, Link Tunnel, London, 150,000 square meters of roof waterproofing, versus concrete crack control and reduction in rebars, versus use of crane. 150,000 square meters of waterproofing membrane was saved because they got a concrete crack control, to rub over the slab surface, and it acted as a waterproofing membrane, and it made them to save 150,000. Just imagine the cost per square meter of this waterproofing material for this roof. A lot of money was saved. Then the City Palace, Chicago, this one is steel arc roof versus space frame assembly. We discovered that most of the buildings that we have now, people are using space frame assembly instead of the steel arc that we used to have that covers the entire space everywhere, and that space is not being used, and the cost there is heavy. $450,000 dollars was saved. The commercial building in the City of London, lettable areas increased from 70% to 80%. The team met for 70 hours for costing. It cost them 30,000 pounds, and they were able to save between, the lettable area, increased from 70 to 75% to 80%. The financially valuable scheme. Then I understand that, the handrail or along the metro line, even in Qatar, I understand that there was a value engineering that was carried out, that originally, the material that was used was highly expensive, but, with the value engineering study, they were able to have, some savings as well. Then the client side, the clients that, most of the clients that we deal with during value engineering study, we have the experienced corporate client, we have the inexperienced corporate client, we have the private, inexperienced, and naive client. So depending on the type of client you have, you should be able to know how to deal with them during the time of value engineering study. Then we understand that the client priorities, are majorly investments to carry out business to meet social needs like roads, schools for private occupation, and to demonstrate confidence and their priorities which depends on the functionality, time, quality, cost, sustainability, flexibility, risk, and others. Then we have a formula here that says value is equals to function over cost. So you need to determine the cost and divide it by determine the function and divide it by the cost for you to get value. So it's the degree of performance capabilities of a product, service, or project. The function might be to achieve traffic flow at the roundabout. That is the function. The cost includes materials, human, tools, price, time, etc. So that is just the definition of value, cost, and the function itself. I'm rushing so that we'll get to where we are going. So we are now in the 6 phases of value methodology. This is what the real concept is. We have the 6 phases of value methodology. For you to carry a value methodology, we have 6 phases. The first phase is, if you look at the table that is before you, you have the information phase, you have the function analysis phase, you have the creative phase, you have the evaluation phase, you have the development phase, and you have the presentation phase. Presentation phase is the last phase of the value engineering workshop or study. So what you are seeing before you is called the job plan. The job plan. This job plan this function analysis, let me go there. Yeah. So the first thing you have to do in a value engineering study, you have to do pre-study activities. You know, the pre-study activities is to really understand, you know, where are the documents, where, just to gather the team together, just to build your team, to say who will be inside this value engineering study, how many architects, how many quantity surveyors, how many engineers, how many mechanical engineers, electrical, you know, interior designers, you know, just to put your team together. Then the information stage is the time that the value engineering workshop starts. And the major objective is for you to define the objectives of the value engineering study and for you to determine the scope that you will go in the study and for you to know the cost of each of those. It's just a data collection section. That is the information stage. Everybody will come on board. There are forms that will be distributed to the mechanical engineer to look into the drawing to extract data. You know, how many, what the mechanical engineer will look at, what do we have? ACs. What are the components of the AC? What do they run? How many floors? Is this? What type of, how are we going to remove this air from the basement, the exhaust air from the basement? Are we going to use the jet fan system? Are we going to use the exhaust fan? What are we going to use? Just to grab the information from all the drawings, this information collection stage. And there are questions that will be asked in the information collection stage. There are two questions to be asked. What is it? Everybody will take the question, the architect will take, everybody will answer this question. What is it? The second question is, what does it cost? After knowing the components that you're going to, you just how much does this project cost? How much does this cost? It's just an extraction, information is just an extraction of data. Then you move to the function analysis phase. This is the main phase of value engineering study, the function analysis phase, where you have to determine the functions of a particular product, a particular equipment, a particular facility, the function of the project itself. You have to determine it. You have to redefine the project and scope. You have to analyze the function. You have to determine the cost-function relationship. So when this one is determined, everybody, at the end of this function analysis phase, all the professionals that are involved, they will agree and they will sign the function analysis document. At this stage that is agreed, nobody will go back to say, I never agreed, because this stage is passed. The architect cannot come back to say, but because at this time, the functions of each of the elements that make up the project, that make up the product, that make up the process, must have been agreed by all parties. So the second phase is the creativity phase. You know, everybody have to brainstorm, have to imagine the incubation phase of what can be done. You know, you look at very big electrical fixtures in the building. You know, say, yeah, this one is very expensive. Okay, what does it do? Is that extracting all the questions? You determine the numbers, you determine the performance that you have determined from the functional analysis. You have to see how you can apply them to all the elements that you are bringing out from the project. Then the fourth one is the evaluation phase. You know, but okay, let me get back to the creative phase. There are some questions that we ask in the creative phase. The only question that we ask is, what else will perform the function? What else will perform the function? You have an equipment, you know that this is what the equipment do. Because you have determined the function of that equipment in the function analysis phase, but now you come to the creative phase. Now, the question you ask is, what else can perform that same function that what is in the design can perform? So you go to the evaluation phase. Evaluation phase is a place where you evaluate and do an assessment, eliminate ideas, which definitely will not work. You know, you combine ideas together, you determine which ideas will work, you identify the most promising idea. So you go, after the evaluation phase, there is a question mark there. Is the result okay? If it's not okay, you go back to creative phase and generate another idea. Right? If it is okay, you move ahead to the development phase. The development phase is to determine the actual plan for the project. You have to redefine and develop ideas, establish benefits, overcome obstacles and objections, and determine an implementation plan. You know, so that's what the development phase is all about. But there are some questions also to ask during the development phase. The first question there is, what will it work? What you have determined from your evaluation. The question in development phase is, will it work? The next question is, will it meet all the requirements? The other one is, what are the implementation problems? What are the costs? And what are the savings? These are the questions that you are expected to ask in the development phase. Then we go finally to the presentation phase. The presentation phase is to make a presentation, you know, present the problems, you know, where were you? During the presentation phase, the client, the users, everybody will be present. When the person that is making the presentation will be there. You know, so you will make presentation on the problem that was on the project, the functions, and you will make presentation on the proposal that is being put forward. You know, so you will now be the one, the person that will make the presentation according to SAFE International is the person that we call the CVS. The CVS is the Certified Value Specialist. He's a top man, he's the expert man in value engineering according to SAFE International. You know, I did mention that, you know, we have two positions, two professionals in value engineering according to SAFE International. The first one is the value management associate, the first level, and the final level is the CDS. The CDS is the certified value specialist. So he will be the one, an approved person that will make this presentation. And it's required, you know, in AYEGBA, when they put value engineering into the contract, the person that is required to make that presentation is the CDS. Even in AYEGBA, with how do you call the other clients that we have here. So, and after the presentation, there will be results. You know, the client can say yes, the client can say no. If the client says no, I don't accept this, then the team will go back to creative space again, and they have to go back to come. If there's any query from the presentation, you have to go back to creative space and do another thinking, evaluation, development phase, and you have to come for another presentation. If the presentation is approved, you go to implementation phase. Implementation is just to put what has been discovered, the recommendation into practice, make all the necessary changes, and you have follow-up activities. So this is all what we have. These are the 6 phases that we have in value methodology. Then to zero in, you know, into the functional analysis, which is the core of value engineering study, the functional analysis. This is the functional analysis system technique. This is by SAFE International. The person that invented this is called Charles. By the way, you can see the photo there on the left corner, bottom corner of the page. This man invented this functional analysis, the system techniques, the fast diagram. This is called the fast diagram. This fast diagram, on the left side, you see how the arrow is going to the right hand side, and on the right hand side, you see why. You know, so if you look at this, on the left hand side, you have the high order function, and the right hand side, you have the assumed function, which is also the lower order function. Then, on the top side, you see the project objectives, one-time function, you see all-time functions. Then you have the basic function, the required function, you have the required secondary function, required secondary function again. Then you have all these other boxes below. They are, you know, unwanted functions, functions that are not necessary, secondary functions that support the basic function of a particular element or product or services. For us to understand this clearly, we have to take an example. I have to give an example. So, what we do a functional analysis for pencil, for instance, pencil, is what is the function of a pencil? If we want to do the functional analysis for this, we say, functional analysis for this pencil, we say it communicates ideas. That is the how. So, in doing this functional analysis, there's what we call, you have to use active verb, and measurable nouns. So if the noun is not measurable, that means that function is not to be used in the project. But if it's measurable, then you can consider it. And the verb must be what? Must be active. If you look at communicate ideas now, communicate is a verb. Ideas, what is it? Is it measurable? It's not measurable. Then let's move in the flow of this functional, the fast diagram. How does it communicate ideas? You have to ask questions. The power of how and why works very powerful in this fast diagram. So if you ask, how does it communicate ideas? You say, it communicates ideas, but it makes marks. To make is an active verb. Marks is what? Is a measurable noun. Okay, then you go to the next one. How does it make marks? It deposits lead. Okay, how does it deposit lead? It creates friction on paper, right? Then how does it create friction? It slides lead. Okay, how does it slide lead? You apply force before it can slide lead. Okay, let's go back on this table now. Why? Why does it apply? Why do you apply force? Because you want to slide the lead. Why do you slide lead? Because you want to create friction. Why do you want to create friction? Because you want to deposit lead. Why do you want to deposit lead? Because you want to make marks. Why do you want to make marks? Because you want to communicate ideas. So, if there is no flow between communicate ideas and apply force, that means this pencil does not have a function. Another example is, oh, I want to go to work. The first question is, how do you want to go to work? Okay, I want to use my car. Okay, you want to use your car? How do you want to use your car? I want to drive. How do you drive? Okay, you enter the car. Forget you enter the car. You turn on the ignition. How do you turn on the ignition? You use your hand to turn the ignition. Then if you start going back again, why? Why do you turn the ignition? Because you want to drive the car. Why do you want to drive the car? Because you want to go to work. I'm jumping some steps. But then it gives you the function of a car. So for a fast diagram to work, the how must go through and the why must go back. Then you have all the other boxes below. Those ones are the supporting the secondary functions. So this is the part that we follow through now is a critical part of fast diagram. So for an item to have functions in value engineering study, it must pass through the critical part of the fast diagram. I believe I'm communicating. I believe if you have any questions, just keep it. So when we get to the question section, you understand. It's not something to understand one day, but it's achievable. This slide is being adapted, from same international training slide during my training in value engineering, and the CVS that took me is Mohammed Ahmed Hussein. He's one of the CVS. I think he's the only CVS we have in Qatar for now. Whether we have others, I am yet to know. So I've entered this one for him. The active verb we have, example of active verb we have here is, the first one is actuate. The first one is amplify. The second one is apply. The third one is to change. collect, conduct, contain, control, emit, enclose, fasten, filter, ignite, impede, interrupt, limit, locate, modulate, move, prevent, protect, reduce, rotate, secure, store, transfer. If any of these, well, these are the active verbs. So anything that we have to do, if you are doing your value engineering, you want to determine the function of an item on a project, you know, that active verb must be there. If the verb is not active, that means there is no function. The function of that item is not required in the project. Then we go to the measurable nouns. The measurable nouns, they must have a unit, you know, like acceleration. If I ask some of us now, okay, some of us are science students, we did physics, chemistry, mathematics, and all that. All these ones, they have units. Acceleration, air, contamination, current, data, density, energy, light, insulation, you know. So these are measurable now. Load, you know, liquid, object, particles, and all that. So for you to get a function of an item or in a process or in a project, you must have them as active verb. What they do, active verb must go with the measurable nouns. Then we talked about the life cycle costing. You know, the cost that we are talking about here, you know, you have to do the life cycle cost of any study that you want to carry out. You must determine, you know, the net present value of that item. You know, it's not that, okay, this product is okay, or this item, this tiles, or this marble is okay, but is it sustainable? Is it going to take the project? What is the life of that item that you are considering? You know, you have to do life cycle modeling, you have to do brainstorming, you have to look at you have to do the weightage, the evaluation of the weightage, then you have to do risk assessment. Then you will now discover the life cost of that item. I think we are coming closely to the end of this presentation. And before we come into the end of this presentation, I'd like to ask this question. We're in the question section here. And after these questions, then I'll be open for questions. So the first one is, what is value engineering? The A part is, these questions are adopted, you know, from the QSi CPD by Ruganois and Miguel Barr. They are the ones that ask this question in the CPD of value engineering. The questions are, what is value engineering? So you have to select A or B. Is it cost-cutting exercise? Because mostly they ask us these days that, what is value engineering? The first thing, even us as quantity surveyors, our minds always run to cost-cutting exercise, you know, but it's not cost-cutting exercise. Is it removal of cost without reducing value? Is your answer A or B? Mark yourself, just be writing down, so that at the end of it all, you will know the ones that you will pass and you know the one that you will fail, because the result will come at the end of the questions. So the second question is, what is Pareto's law? Is it 80% of the cost will be found in 20% of the items, or 20% of the cost will be found in 80% of the items? Okay, then we go to the next one, number 3. You say, which of the following are unnecessary costs? Allowance for inflation, A. Cost of components which could be omitted from the design, or floor area in excess of minimum requirement. I take that again. Which of the following are unnecessary costs? That means it can be all of them, it can be 2, it can be 1. Allowance for inflation, cost of components which could be omitted from the design, floor area in excess of minimum requirements. So we go to question number 4. Which of the following types of projects are most likely to benefit from value engineering? A housing project. The second one is, that is A. The second one is B. Warehouse of simple design. I know all these questions are very simple, but it's for us to really have a refresh of what we have just gone through. Number 5, ideally, where should value engineering be undertaken? Ideally, is it immediately after outline sketches and budget prices have been prepared, or on completion of all the design before work starts? Then the third one is after work on site has commenced. Okay? Then we go to the last one. The last one is, how should value engineering be carried out to achieve maximum effect? Is it an individual who is appointed from the design team to make recommendations, or is a team using workshops? These are the 7 questions. I think we should be done by now. Or if you want me to go through the question again, you can on your mic so that any question that you am so fast that you cannot get the answer correctly, I can go back, because I still have 3 more minutes to go also. 3 more minutes. Okay? I'll just run through it. Value engineering, what is value engineering? A cost-cutting exercise, the removal of cost without reducing value. What is Pareto's law? 80% of the cost will be found in 20% of the items. 20% of the cost will be found in 80% of the items. Number 3, which of the following are unnecessary costs? Allowance for inflation, cost of components which could be omitted from the design, floor area in excess of minimum requirement. Which of the following types of projects are most likely to benefit from value engineering? Housing project, warehouse of simple design. Then the 5th one is, ideally, where should value engineering be undertaken? Immediately after outline sketches and budget prices have been prepared. On completion of all the design before work starts. After work on site has commenced. The 7th one. The 7th one is, how should value engineering be carried out to achieve maximum effect? Individual appointed from the design team to make recommendations, or team using workshop. So we look at the answers now. I think I missed out question number 6. So question number 6 is not here. So the answer, I don't know what happened here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't find question number 6. Okay. Number 1 question, number 1 is B. Number 2 is A. 3 is B and C. 4 is A and C. 5 is A. Number 6, which I'm missing, B and C. And number 7 is D. So the only thing I have to say before we start asking questions is, value engineering is very important for us as quantity surveyors. Quantity surveyors are lacking so much in value engineering. I want to encourage everyone that would like to be an expert. I'm still an expert in the making in value engineering. I'm still going through the process. If you want to join me, just let me know. I will tell you how to start, who to contact, and how you can start the journey. Because one good thing is, with quantity surveyors, if you go to RICS, one of the competencies, you see value engineering there. But value engineering in the UK is not as blown as it is in America. You understand? We discovered that the people that are coming on top of value engineering are mostly engineers, but it's one of our competencies. And we are highly needed in value engineering. It's not the work we have to do in value engineering is not limited to projects alone. You can work if you're an expert in value engineering, you can work in manufacturing company. You can work in any industry at all, just to improve this value engineering, the functional analysis, you can even use it in your house, to see the functions of what you have, what you are doing. You can apply it, and it's very good. So as much as if we come as a board, I'll discuss with the chairman if we want the number of persons that would like to become value engineering experts. If we come as a board, I believe, I'm very sure that there will be discounts. So this is the end of my presentation, and I wait for any question that we have here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. AYEGBA, for your wonderful presentation. He has taken us through what value engineering is, what value engineering is not. He has taken us through the history of value engineering, how it moved from being value analysis to value engineering. And he has taken us through the process, just like the title says, concepts and what's it called, concepts and techniques. He has taken us through the whole journey. It has been a wonderful experience listening to you. Without wasting our time, we'll be going into the questioning and answering session. Please, whoever asks a question should speak up. Before you speak, you need to unmute yourself. If I see that two people are speaking at the same time, I will unmute one. I'll mute one of the two. Do we have questions? No questions have been going on in the chat also. Meanwhile, I have a question. Victor, are you with me?
I'm here.
Yes. I have noticed that there's an increasing the emphasis on the role of cost in value engineering. People keep saying value engineering is all about cost, but all definitions of value engineering will not hold until you add cost. What do you think is responsible for this trend?
Yes, value engineering is not a cost slashing exercise. It's to improve the function of a project. But you discover that in improving the function of a project, there is cost improvement as well. There are cost savings as well. So most clients, they discover that, okay, if I can improve the value of my project and still have cost reduction, why not? Why not? Because originally the project is costing 100 million. So that means the project must have been over-designed. So from history, most clients discover that when value engineering is being carried out, the money that is being paid for the value engineering study of 40 hours or 50 hours of value engineering study, they discover that even at the money they are paying, they discover that they still have they have value for their project, and there is still cost reduction. And there is nothing a client wants that, reduction in cost, but while still maintaining the value. So it's not just to slash costs. You can slash costs easily, even without increasing the value. A client can say, yes, I can reduce the cost of my project. It's cost you remove this, remove that. But if it is done professionally, you still see that there is value added to the project than just reducing costs. The benefit that a client has is you have reduction in cost and you have an improved value. If a value engineering study is carried out and there is no value improvement and there is cost reduction, that means there is quality reduction. So,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Victor. It's wonderful. Yes, value engineering, the essence is that value engineering is not cost slashing. It is what I've observed even here in Qatar, that engineers who perform cost slashing exercises call it value engineering. Value engineering is not, it's optimization of cost. It's not about reduction of cost or removal of quality, reduction in quality. Yes, there is one prince in Wifido who asked a question. He says, many thanks, QS Victor AYEGBA. Very informative and educative presentation. I am interested in becoming a value engineering expert. How do I go about it?
Yes, just like I said, if you are a member of Nigerian Constitute of Yours in Qatar, we will have to discuss with the chairman. But if you want to come as a single person, I will help you I'll direct you to the CDS, the Certified Value Specialist. You will need to take 40 hours of, the first course you take is VMF1. The VMF1, you will take that course, VMF1. VMF1 is a 40-hour study. You have to take it under a Certified Value Specialist. Why I'm encouraging all of us here is that they are very scarce. Certified Value Specialists are very scarce. In Qatar here, if we have only one or two. And they normally import them, bring them in from America, anywhere, India or wherever, to come and do value engineering study and go back. So the first step you have to do is to do your VMF1. We have VMF1, Value Management Fundamentals 1. This one is for 40 hours. So you be under you do that workshop for 1 hour. You understand all these basic knowledge of functional analysis. You understand the history, just the overview that we have done just now. You go into detailed study of that after the 40 hours. Then you have to do other workshops before you can do VMF2. If you do VMF2, then with the required number of studies, because there's a requirement for the number of studies you have to conduct before you get your CBS. So after the first one, you write an exam. After you do the 40 hours, you write an exam, online exam, with your laptop. You write an exam, no distraction. You pay all the fees. The fees are not much. If you are a member of Save International, the fees is very less. You understand? But if you are not a member of Save International, you have to pay, I think $360 something. I didn't check the latest amount before I came in for this presentation. So after the first study, then you have required number of value engineering workshop. Then if you pass the VMF1 exam, then you can prepare for the VMF2. VMF2 prepares you to become a certified value specialist. With that, you become an expert. Then you can run training. I cannot do training now. I'm in the process. I've done my workshop, doing my exam procedures and all that. So I'm still an expert in the process. So if you want to start, I can direct you to the CDS who will take you through the study. But what I'm saying is that if I take you there, you are going to pay her. But if we go involved in discussion with the chairman and the executive, we are going to definitely have some discounts. You will take the people that the candidates for 40 hours, then you write the exam, then you get your value management associate. Value management associate. That is the first one. With this one, with value VMA, if you want to go into the area of value engineering, you can get jobs in America, you can get jobs anywhere, you can be part of DE workshop and all that, So that's just the basic route to becoming an expert.
Thank you, Victor. Let me just give a twist to this question. The person asking is not based in Qatar. For information. So what advice will you have for him or he and other people that maybe he can gather a group? How will you advise him to approach the training?
Yes, everything is mostly done virtually now. If you are not in Qatar, what we do is I will contact the CDS and you can get my contact from the presenter, the chairman, so that I can direct you accordingly. So that if it can be done virtually, you can do the 40 hours virtually, then you write the exam. You can write the exam anywhere you are. Once you get all the materials, you can write the exam. write the exam. If you pass, then you get your certification to become a VMA.
Okay, thank you very much. The second question comes from Yahya Abdul Qadir. How does value engineering differ or compare with lean construction?
Value engineering is different from lean construction. Value engineering, we're talking about how to improve the function of a project, the functionality of a particular element of the project. But lean construction is all about process to reduce unnecessary process waste, unnecessary waste. That is what lean construction is all about. Like you have somebody that is very fat and, the person becomes lean, so, and the person is still surviving. How is the person surviving? Because unnecessary fats that are waste in his body that are not doing anything is being removed. But lean construction is all about processes. When if you want the process of a project to be faster, what you do is to reduce some unnecessary processes. Like let me give an example. If you are talking of reinforcement, for instance, on a project, you can decide not to have a yard to buy reinforcement and put the steel fixers there to be cutting all the reinforcement, and from there you buy it, you bring them to the store. From the store they bring to where they have to cut. From the cutting they have to take to the site to fix on site. You understand? In reconstruction, it's advisable you calculate the cost of all those processes because you're using your workers to load and upload and move to the workshop for cutting and bending, and from there you move on to the building, to the project site. You understand? All these processes in reconstruction, what happens is that instead of doing that, it's less expensive than when you talk of buying the reinforcement that is already cut already from the workshop and you just buy them. What will happen is that when it's time to fix reinforcement, they just bring the truck straight to the site and you just fix the reinforcement on site. The straight bars, the bars for the beams, everything is ready to size, and all what you need is just to connect them and fix them on site. So lean construction is to reduce the process of the way that happens in the construction industry. Oh, okay, what are the other examples can I give? In talk of approval process, for instance, you have the engineers who go to site, they come, they okay, inspection report, this, that, they approve before. So all those processes can be compressed, and it makes the process of the work to move faster. But in value engineering, we are talking about the functionality of the elements in the project.
Sorry, Victor, can I say from this explanation that while value engineering is about cost optimization without affecting the quality, lean construction is about time optimization without affecting the quality?
Yes, without affecting the quality at the same time, yes. The quality will have to be there, but the processes have to be compressed, without affecting the quality.
Optimizing the time.
Yes, optimizing the time.
Thank you very much. Please, invite video again. It says he will appreciate if participants can get materials to study or go through and also make reference to.
Yes, the issue is value engineering is that only one person cannot do value engineering. You can get the materials now, but where will it take you to? You understand? You can get the materials, you can go through, you can study, but where will it take you to? Because you can understand it, you can get it, but you need to be, for you to become an expert, for you to be in a team, people join teams, anybody can be in a value engineering workshop, but you are not an expert, So to get the materials, I don't know how it will help, but if you go for the study, you go for the lab, you go and take the course, you will get all the materials that is necessary. So if somebody needs me to give material, for instance, now, I can give my study material that I have. I can give you. But the question is, where will it take you to? Just for your own personal study, no problem. I can share. It is for your personal study. But what they are doing in the industry, what Safe International is doing is every year they change, they add, they do a lot of things. So the same material I have can help you to write the exam also, But then in another year, they will make some little changes, just to improve the system.
Anyway, within our powers, we will share these slides with you when they are shared with us by Victor. I think that is what is within our own reach. So Ade Yarabola says, thanks QS Victor and NQSQ. Samuel Abiodun Alara, thank you QS Victor AYEGBA and NQSQ. Qatar deserves the best. Okay, Prince, again, I am based in Nigeria, okay, and a corporate member of the NIQS. Also, can we explore possibilities of collaboration with the Nigerian consortiums with regards to being value engineering specialists? Well, we will discuss with because we are always collaborating with NIQS. We will discuss with the leadership. I mean, for now, you can see that just like our presenter is saying, it is not that here we have the specialty. It is just one of us who is more vast in this that is making a presentation. It's not that within us we have a specialist, or that within our group we harbor the specialism. It is that we have some things that one of us who has studied deeper in it is giving us a presentation upon. Thank you very much. That is it about all. Before we go, I would like to mention that we will be sending out the CPD survey. We would very much appreciate if the attendees will help us to feel, let us have a feedback on our performance so that we can make better presentations in the future. Yes, I mean, at least, I mean, we really appreciate the presenter. He has done a good job, but I know somebody can still do a better job, and that even the moderator can do a better job in the future. It is from your feedbacks that we will be able to do that. Yes, it is good to praise us, but we will appreciate more if you point out the areas where you think we can improve. Thank you very much for being there. Before we go, finally, I will hand over to the chairman to give us the closing remark. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Victor, the presenter, and those of you that have taken this opportunity to join us today. Let me just explain that value engineering is just an aspect of what we call value management. Perhaps it is taken from a project development strategy, because we say value management from the onset of a discussion of meeting a need. You have to know what value means altogether to you from onset. I need a workshop to do my work. I need a housing unit. So what is value to you from onset? So value engineering is an aspect of value management, which is deployed to manage the value. And the target ultimately is to just bring an optimum value, to bring value, to enhance the value, to enhance the quality of your desire. So that is what value engineering is all about. Now, concerning becoming a member, yes, we have a very good collaboration with Nigerian County Surveyor. If anybody is interested, I would say they should put our link, our secretariat email on the chat. You can write us so we can coordinate this, because to me, the time has come for us to start re-engineering our profession as a county surveyor or cost engineering expert. This is just an avenue for us. Some of us can be called up to become a member of a facilitator team to discuss anything about value engineering. But as you know, in these days, if you don't have some level of some certification in your hand, even though you are better than the expert, nobody will take you serious. So I welcome the idea of many people trying to register, going through Victor to show us how we can register to become a member. So anybody that is interested, I'll be very much happy to coordinate that. Now, please, essentially, like the facilitator of this CPD has said, please, we need you to fill the feedback form so that that will guide us as to know how we are performing, areas that we need to improve upon, what you want from us in the nearest future, and what you expect us, which area you expect us to improve upon. So we'll be very much happy about this. Without taking much of your time, I want to tell you that I'm so grateful because today I think our attendance stood at about 50 and above, and that is quite improving. And I believe by our next CPD it will be bigger than this. Thank you so much, my colleagues, and thank you for taking your time to be part of this presentation. I'm very grateful to all of you. Thanks.
Bye-bye all. See you later. Okay, you all have to end your participation yourself.